Greetings and welcome back. It's the Angry Chicken Brawl. I'm Garrett and with me today is Jocelyn Moffat. Dills is, I believe he actually packed himself in a pod. He's probably on the back of a semi-truck right now on the way to Texas. But until he reaches his barbecue-covered destination, it's just the two of us.
I like it, though. It's fine.
It's cozy, right?
And
we're just kind of.
I look forward to barbecue-covered dills. I think it's going to be awesome. That's what happens when you get to Texas, right?
Right? They just, welcome to Texas, and they just take a giant bucket full
throw barbecue
of barbecue sauce, and they just barbecue sauce cover you, and they're just like, hello, well, you are now one of us. You've become one with the great state of Texas. Enjoy the stickiness.
Hopefully they don't, throw feathers at him afterwards.
No,
it's like the Texas version of tar and feather.
I think you throw chicken wings on him afterwards.
Ooh,
right?
That'd be tasty.
Because otherwise it's just a waste of barbecue sauce. You just throw feathers on it. No one's going to want to eat that. But at least then Dills can be like, ooh, I'm delicious.
Or delicious.
Ah, Dillslicious. There it is. Yes. Yes. If only... this is just sad now because I wish Dills was here to revel in the terribleness of this off-the-walls introduction.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. It's just fabulous.
Also known as Dills, we miss you.
Yes, this is how we show we miss you. We talk about your body covered in barbecue sauce.
Okay, when you put it that way, it sounds really weird.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. That's like telling someone you thought of them in the shower. Hey, man, I was showering the other day and I thought of you. Like, wait, what, dude? I'm sorry, what? No, not like that. Not like that.
Not in a weird way.
That's where I do all my thinking. With hot water cascading down on me. That's where I thought about all of the crazy decks I could build for this week's Brawl, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah, so Hearthstone, I think about you in the shower.
Such a great endorsement.
I try.
Yeah, I was really confused with what was, and I guess this is just comes down to get in there and just play it. But I find that it's hard to do a get in there and just play it and have fun in your first game when you have to build your own deck.
I agree with you.
I was just okay, so I have to pick Battlecry, Deathrattle, Spells, or Murlocs. So I got that from the little chalkboard imagey thing.
Yeah, so let's assume for just a second, our listeners out there don't know what we're talking about. The Brawl this week is Battle of the Builds, and when you go into Hearthstone and you click on the Tavern Brawl button, you are, faced with some of my favorite chalk art, by the way, so far.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Love the representation of Elven Archer representing the battle cries, firing a heart directly into that bastard leper gnome representing the death rattles. Now, no representation for Murlocs or spells on there, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, I really liked the art. I don't think it needed to get kind of convoluted trying to incorporate the other two. I think they did a really good job because you can only ever have two decks battling at once. So I think Battlecry and Deathrattle were really easy to depict. So this is probably one of my favorites too.
Yeah, or they could have just, remade that teaser art for the Tavern Brawl where there's 30 people in a tavern actually beating the snot out of each other. But that probably takes more time to draw, and
probably
don't need to worry about it. Really like the art. Anyways, when you look at it, all it says is, what's better, Battlecry, Deathrattle, Spells, or Murlocs? Make a deck, pick a side, and let's find out. That doesn't tell me squat. I cannot read that and know what I should do, and you're absolutely right. If it is a constructed deck week, I do personally feel oh man, I'm going to build a deck, and I'm going to do it wrong just to figure out how this works.
Yeah, and I really thought right up until it was build a deck that it was going to be, because it says choose, and I was okay, so do I choose a class and then choose a pre-built deck of Battlecry, Deathrattle, Spells, or Murlocs? How is it? I thought there was going to be multiple levels of choosing, and then it's now build your deck, and I was okay, so I just typed in Deathrattle and chose all the Deathrattles. I'm is it going to not let me choose Battlecry minions? So then I changed one of my Deathrattles for a Battlecry, and there was no error or anything. So I was oh, okay. So by choose a side, you mean don't? So then I got in, and then I saw, and actually, I can't remember if I got in. I must have Googled it first because I wouldn't have Googled it after I went in. So I Googled it and got the Hearthhead thing and looked at the Hearthhead thing, and there's like, oh, you can pick one of 4 buffs. And I was like, oh, okay, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that is the choosing.
Yes. So then I went in, and then I was like, oh, okay, so by having all Deathrattle, I get the bonus to Deathrattle minions. So, okay. And then my first game, I got totally wrecked by a freaking druid who basically just made a token druid deck without the token parts because he just picked the Murloc buff. So he had all Battlecry minions with the Murloc buff. And I was like, not working as intended.
No, but isn't that clever? First of all, I haven't seen that. Holy crap, that's awesome. Wasn't there a small part of you, Jocelyn? Come on, where is ye old and Angry Chicken Jocelyn? Like, because I know deep down somewhere in that sunny little heart of yours, you were just like, oh, I'm so angry. But that was a really clever manipulation of this.
Okay, so it was really clever. And I think my issue, I was talking about it on stream last night. I think my issue with this brawl is just that the Battlecry buff should be strong enough that if you play a Battlecry deck, you want to pick the Battlecry buff. Like, it just, like, I don't know, maybe they weren't extreme enough of buffs or something. I don't know. I still have yet to see anyone playing a spell deck.
I did, actually. I saw my very first game I queued into was a mage who went second and got the coin. And I'm just sitting here going, this is so broken. This is my first game, okay? So we haven't run down the bonuses, by the way. Right, I think real quick before we move on, I want to wrap up your whole. I'm not given enough information in the game to go in and know what to build. To wrap that up, I agree. I totally do agree. But at the same time, I think it's okay. We live in a world now where we have websites like Hearthstone and Hearthhead and Twitter where we can just go and see. It's just crowdsourced for us. It'll tell us exactly what we need to know going in. And if that is important for you, that is something you can go and look up. And of course, there are going to be those players who prefer the sense of discovery. I'm not one of those people. I like to know what I'm getting into to a certain point.
I like to know what I'm getting into as well. And I think that that's kind of my problem, is that they're all about making Hearthstone a super fun player experience, and not understanding and not knowing all the rules and having to build a deck around that, and then going in and getting your ass handed to you in your first game because you didn't know the mechanics. That doesn't really make for like a good, yay, I love this brawl experience. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I'm not that kind of like just go in, discover, play around kind of a person. I like to know everything going in, but I don't know. For me, it's just kind of like I played that druid and I was like, well, this isn't fun. And that was like my first, and then it kind of just soured me on the brawl, and it took me a few times because I had to play a few different games and try a few different ways before I got my win in my pack. But I was just kind of like, man, it took me a while to come around on this brawl because my first game was such a terrible experience.
Okay. So yeah, I really enjoyed this brawl.
I like the idea of this brawl a lot.
I've been having a very good time with it. I like that we've already seen kind of a miniature meta crop up around it, because Murlocs are incredibly strong in this particular brawl. And normally, I feel like I would be the person coming to this being like, Murlocs are so strong. They totally failed on this brawl. They did such a bad job. But it's not really, because Battlecries are incredibly strong. And Deathrattles, I think Battlecry might eke out. I have no stats to prove that. It's all anecdotal. I think Battlecry may eke out over Deathrattle, but I think it's close. I do think Spell is, without a doubt, the weakest of all of the bonuses you can get here. But overall, I had a really good time with it, and I don't even care that Murloc is looking to be the most popular, because you can tech against it. And I love that it's just like, we just have like 5 days where this miniature meta has cropped up and we get to play around with it. I kind of dig it.
Mm-hmm. So did we actually go over what all the bonuses are
No,
before we jump into decks and metas and stuff?
And I will do that now. I was just saying that's one of the things I like about it. So the whole point is choosing between Deathrattle, Battlecry, Spell, and Murloc. And as you stated, Jocelyn, that choice does not happen on the deck level. You could make a deck with all 4 of these things and totally cripple yourself. The choice happens once you actually log into the game after your mulligan phase. And depending on whether you went first or second, if you go second, you actually wait for your opposing player to make their first move. Then it goes to you, and then you get to make your choice. 4 what look like 0 mana spell cards will pop up. You don't actually get the card and cast it, though. It just happens, and it doesn't count as a spell. Think of it as when you make your choice as a druid on your, one of 2 choices. It's not like you get the bonus for casting a spell, unless it was already a spell. Now, you've got the Deathrattle bonus, which your Deathrattle minions have +1/+1. So if you play a Deathrattle minion, they get a 1/1 buff. The same
3/2 leper gnome.
It's wonderful. But that means it's the same thing for Battlecry, however. So your Battlecry minions also get a 1/1. So that turn 1 abusive sergeant, better than ever. No questions asked. Yeah, I'll play a 3/2 on turn 1. I don't care if I don't get that 2 attack buff. Now the spell bonus, whenever you play a spell, you gain 3 armor. That's the spell bonus. And I think you and I would probably agree, at least in our experience, of the weakest of all 3 of these bonuses.
Yep, I agree.
Yep. And then finally, the best thing to ever occur in the history of Tavern Brawl, the Murloc bonus. You get a 1/1 Murloc at the end of your turn, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a Murloc Tiny Fin.
It's not golden, though.
It's not golden, but it's still a free Murloc Tiny Fin. Every turn.
And he's adorable. And he makes the adorable little sound when you cast it, or not when you cast him, but when he gets summoned. So
that is an incredibly authentic Murloc Tiny Fin. If they have the talent contest at BlizzCon this year, Jocelyn,
I should cosplay Tiny Fin.
Not even that. You should just go up and be like, my talent is doing just the Murloc Tiny Fin gurgle. I can't do any other Murloc, but I can do this one specific Murloc.
I don't even know if I could do it again right now.
And in the background, you will hear the voice of BlizzCon, Ben Brode, going, yeah. So, anyway, those are the bonuses. And like I said, I think they're all pretty good, with the exception of spell bonus, where I'm like, yeah, you're not that great. Now, as I said, when I queued into my first game, I queued against a mage that went second. And so they played Mana Worm, they coined, and they played Arcane Missiles.
Ah.
And it was very effective. They had 6 armor right out the gate, and then turn after turn just kept playing spells. However, I was a Murloc Shaman. So eventually I just won.
Yeah. I played Murloc Shaman as well. The first game that I lost so badly to the Druid, I played a Deathrattle Warlock, I think. Warlock is usually my go-to when I start a new Tavern Brawl, just because the hero power is so strong. But yeah, so I played Deathrattle Warlock and did not do well against that token generating Druid guy. And then I played Murloc Shaman and just wrecked face. I had 2 0 mana Anyfin is awesome on turn 3.
Yep.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I ended up having the whole board full of 6-7 Murlocs and just killed them on turn 4. And I was like, that can't feel good.
Yeah, and chat room, Ringusu in the chat room is saying that I'm underestimating the spell one. I'm not saying that it's utter garbage. That's not what I'm saying. I've seen some really good spell decks going around. I've heard great things about Tempo Mage. He's saying he did fine with it, and I've heard the same. I didn't personally play it, but I've seen a lot of people singing the praises of Tempo Mage in this brawl. It just seems some of the ridiculous things that you can pull off, like what you just mentioned, Jocelyn, with your 0 mana Anyfin is awesome. It just, I think the Murloc bonus is incredibly strong. Mm-hmm. So one of these has to be better than the other. And to me, I in my experience, and again, it's all anecdotal, don't have stats to look at, spell bonus seems to have the least amount of impact. So there you go.
I was actually kind of surprised how strong the Battlecry minions were, because they're already kind of a little bit smaller on the body or the attack, because their Battlecry, like you can't silence a Battlecry like you can a Deathrattle. So the minions themselves are a little bit weaker. So it brings the Battlecry minions like into line with most other minions of that same mana cost. So then the Battlecry is really, really strong. But then Deathrattle I don't know. I thought the Deathrattle was going to be more powerful because just Deathrattles in general are more powerful. But yeah, for some reason, man, those Battlecry minions they destroyed me.
It's beefy, right? I mean, an Echoing Ooze just with that +1/+1, like guaranteed +1/+1. Not to mention if anything else in hand above it. Like I managed to get a Defender of Argus off on one of them, plus the additional 1/1, and then it split and yeah, Battlecry. That ended up being my favorite. I thought going into this and seeing how everything was playing out on Reddit and whatnot that Murloc would be my jam. And I really did enjoy it. I was like, yes, an excuse to play Murloc Shaman. I jump at the
You never
chance.
need an excuse.
You need an excuse.
But every Finn is awesome, Garrett. That is your excuse.
That's fine. That's all the excuse you need. You just need one. It doesn't need to be a good one. It can just be, it makes me happy. Mm-hmm. It's good. But you need some type of explanation, I think, because most people raise an eyebrow and go, why?
Because Murlocs.
Thank you, Jocelyn. But yeah, no, the battle cries really are strong. You'd have to be smart, of course. Flame Imp, kind of rough on the battle cries. Doomguard, kind of really screw you up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of generally just Warlock. Like you always have to be careful with Warlock.
Yeah, well, one of the most
so many negative battle cries.
Yeah, one of the most popular decks going around right now is a Battlecry Warlock, which I played and love, but it's not running those cards. What it is running is Felguard.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen this one. Let me open it up here.
Yeah, what it is running is Felguard, which is fantastic. I will gladly destroy one mana crystal for an additional 1/1 on my Felguard. It's nice. It's very nice. So
yeah, 4/6. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. At GameBeardHS on Twitter, by the way, is saying that he's really enjoying the spell buff with Miracle Rogue and Freeze Mage. That it's just he quote insane and so much fun. I mean, imagine you get very unlucky as a Miracle Rogue and don't pull everything you need as soon into the game as you would prefer. You're gaining a bunch of armor, so you can just stall longer.
That's true. I feel like this would also probably be pretty strong in Freeze Mage, because that's what you want to do, is just stall the whole game.
Oh yeah, I mean it's already it's just helping the plan of a Freeze Mage from the get-go. You're not having to bend over backwards to make it work. It's already assisting you in what your goal was.
I feel like I probably haven't given this brawl enough of a chance, I guess. Like I say, I played Murloc Shaman and it was fun, and I got my 2 0 mana, every Finn is awesome off, and that was great, winning on turn 3 or 4, whatever it was. And then I kind of just was like, okay, I've got my pack, I'm done. And I'm getting to that point with a lot of brawls now, like no matter how fun they are, I'm just kind of like, well, I got my pack, I'm moving on. And I don't know if it's because I'm in full tryhard mode on ladder.
I think it's because you're in full tryhard mode on ladder. Personally, okay, I think that's what it is.
Because I feel like, 6 months ago, Jocelyn would have friggin' loved this brawl.
Not even 6 months ago. Like I read, this is my experience. Got into my very first game, reading all of the bonuses. I was trying a Murloc deck first, so I take it. My first Murloc Tiny Fin spawns, and I'm just like, and Jocelyn's gonna lose her mind on the brawl episode this week. So I'm very surprised to hear how analytical of a mind you've brought to the brawl show today.
I'm so sorry.
No.
It's not on purpose, I promise.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I do still love Tiny Fins, guys.
Because
ladders just ruined me.
Literally the episode this week, you're like, yeah, guys, I got frustrated at the end, and I just started playing Murloc Shaman. So I'm just like, well, there's a mode, Jocelyn, where Murloc Shaman is king. It is king.
It's actually rewarded.
Yeah.
free Tiny Fins. But I think maybe that's why I had to take the Tiny Fins out of my deck because I was like, well, I'm going to get these for free every turn anyway. And then I was like, golden Tiny Fin. So maybe that's it. Maybe because I had to take the Tiny Fins out, it just ruined the whole experience for me. And I'm like, there's no little hearts floating around them. Clearly, these Tiny Fins are just not as good. Much inferior.
Yes. Golden actually does increase the quality of the card.
Yeah. So actually, like one thing that I did want to kind of touch on, I saw an article on, actually it was the one I found on Hearthhead, talked about how basically these are almost like a test for auras in Hearthstone. So like persistent effects for a certain number of turns. And they really threw me off at first because they had like actual cards with text on them and like images and stuff.
Yeah, I thought
we
would be.
Realize that I thought they were data mined, and I was like, whoa, what? Like, why is nobody else talking about this? And then I was like, oh wait, no, it's like theory crafting. Okay.
Yeah. Just theory crafting. Talking about the ball. No, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, it wasn't my initial reaction, but yeah, everyone out there is saying, oh, they're just testing mechanics. Mm-hmm. Totally a possibility.
I can definitely see that because
I would be incredibly surprised if we got cards that functioned exactly like these do, where it's permanent for the rest of the game, because that could be game breaking. Mm-hmm. It could be just whoever draws that first just wins. Like if you got it on turn one and your opponent didn't get theirs, like it just snowballs out of control, because that's an insane power upgrade over the course of an entire game. It's balanced here because you are guaranteed to have, both players are guaranteed to have this bonus for the entire game.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, because I know like what was in the Hearthhead article was basically like a certain number of turns, so like you get this bonus for 2 turns or 3 turns, and they have mana cost, because that's one thing that these auras didn't have. There's no mana cost, you're guaranteed to get it, it just happens for the whole game. But if you actually have to balance an aura versus its mana cost and how it fits into your curve and what you may or may not play in those 2 or 3 turns, I think it could be really interesting. And I really like the idea of something where it's an aura on your weapon. So it's like actually something that your character, your hero is holding, and you're buffing all your dudes around you. I love that idea.
I think that too.
I don't know why, but that just really clicked with me from like, and it's weird to think of like RPing your hero in Hearthstone, because like they're just a portrait, right? But I'm just standing there like, if I was actually like standing on like some sort of like WoW-ish 3D battlegroundy thing, me behind all of my little minions fighting a whole other line of little minions with a commander behind them, I can see like holding a staff or a sword and granting an aura as being really, really super cool. But maybe I'm just a giant nerd and taking it way too far.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way. There's all kinds of ways you could do. You could be a 0-mana spell. It could be a spell with a cost. I think it probably should be. I mean, we kind of already have this with minions that do something to your other minions when they hit the board. It is more or less an aura effect.
Oh yeah, no, it totally is. Like raid leader.
Most Murlocs.
Yeah, the Murloc war leader. A lot of the Murlocs actually are battle cries. They're not persistent.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, it's just the war leader and the 1/1 that gives everything 1 attack.
Yes, I can't remember. It's a Murloc. I don't know.
I think it's Oracle. Grimscale Oracle.
Could be.
I don't remember.
I don't know. All the Murlocs look the same.
I look at them and like from the image.
Tiny
yeah, from the image I know what they do. Now I have to look it up because it bothers. Yes, Grimscale Oracle is the aura effect. All other Murlocs have +1 attack. So as long as that is live, you're getting that effect of a +1 attack. So I would like to see just more of those introduced, because I like that, and I'd like them to be on better cards, because at the moment we have Raid Leader, who's terrible.
Yeah.
We have Grimscale Oracle, who's wonderful in
Murloc decks.
all in Murloc decks.
Yeah. And even then, like some of those aura ones buff all Murlocs. Yeah. Which is kind of like, you have to watch for that in this brawl a little bit, because if you're playing against somebody who either has a Murloc deck or a Murloc buff, and you play your buffy Murlocs, then it's like, oh wait, now all of my enemies' Murlocs are also buffed. Damn it.
Yes, absolutely. And it's very common to see in this brawl, because there's a lot of Murlocs running around.
Yeah.
So, by the way, just slot in 2 Hungry Crabs if you have them. I don't, because I have dusted them every single time I open them. But
I have hungry crabs. At least one, if not two.
I'm sure you do. That came off worse than I meant it to.
I know. It's like, ouch, Garrett.
No, that was me making a 1% joke.
I know, but it was a real mean one.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. My brain took that a different place after I said it. Someone emails, send them in. Don't, actually. Please don't.
Do, because I don't know what Garrett thinks that he said. I got the 1% joke part. Oh, I get it.
Yeah, there it is.
Garrett.
There it is. Landed. Well, the way you reacted, I thought that's how you took it. So, my bad.
Oh,
my
man.
bizzle. Oh, wonderful. Well,
Jerk.
anyways, folks, if you have not seen the Murloc Shaman or the Battlecry Warlock that we're talking about here, we do have links to them in the show notes. They're on Hearthhead right now, actually. I think it's one of the top things posted. If you haven't tried them out, I highly recommend it. They're both really fun. I personally prefer the Battlecry deck. But just go out and have fun with this one, guys. It's a good time. Now, we're not taking an email this week. We are going to take a crazy game story. But before we do that, let's thank Squarespace.com for sponsoring this episode of the Angry Chicken Brawl. You can head on over to Squarespace.com right now and build yourself a wonderful website. You don't need to know what you're doing. You don't need to code. There's a ton of templates to choose from. Your website's going to look good from the get-go. And on top of that, you can tweak it and make it yours. So go check it out. Build a brawl to Hungry Crab, or build a website as a shrine to Hungry Crab. That's what I think you should go do right now. Just make sure everyone knows you're talking about a Hearthstone card and not something else. So and when you go and do that, you should use the code TAC because you get 10% off of your first order over at squarespace.com. You'll get a good deal. You'll support the show. Everyone wins. So go check them out. We thank Squarespace for sponsoring. Now, let's take a crazy game story.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com and do us a favor. If it's a crazy game story for Brawl, include Brawl somewhere in the title.
It makes it so much easier.
Easily
Just
searchable.
Generally, if you're emailing anything about Brawl, if you put Brawl in the subject line, I will love you forever.
Yes, because we don't get nearly as many emails about Tavern Brawl. So, very high chance it'll make it on this show.
Yes.
So, today's crazy game story comes to us from Drexbus. And Drexbus writes, "Hello, infuriating foul. I wanted to share the craziest, quickest game I have ever won in Tavern Brawl, in which I only used 1 mana per turn. I was playing Mage, going second, and my opponent was on Druid. Oh, he's on the Druid again. We gotta talk to him.
Intervention time. Got to get him off that Druid.
He just can't kick it, man. He can't kick the green. Works on many levels. Turn 1, Malfurion passes, and I drop a 1 mana Bone Guard Lieutenant. Malfurion drops a Millhouse Mana Storm. Next turn, I draw none other than Antonidas, who has his cost reduced to 1. I play Antonidas and use the coin and some other random spells to burn Malfurion to 0, all while he spams Happy Feast of Wintervale, and effectively only using 1 mana. Happy Wintervale indeed. Love your show. And WTF, how old is this? Wow.
I haven't heard that joke in a long
Drexbus,
time.
yeah, you're digging deep into the recesses of the history of the Angry Chicken. And I appreciate it. And it works here because this is not the current Brawl. So
Exactly.
yeah, again, works on many levels.
Yeah, this one I think is from Randomonium, which is the random decks with the random mana cost.
It's basically, it's Encounter at the Crossroads, but the mana costs are randomized.
Yes.
Same, because Encounter at the Crossroads is just the random decks. So Randomonium is the random decks with random mana costs every
and
turn.
Randomonium is actually, it was growing on me. I played it quite a bit over the break, so
it's
growing on me.
I dug it. I think the last one we did was Encounter at the Crossroads before we took the break on Tavern Brawl for the holidays, and you were missing because you were moving, and I came to it. I'm like, man, I don't know why, but I just love the crap out of this Brawl this week. And Dills is like, yeah, I still don't like it. And it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I think my opinion on brawls can change just depending on the mood I'm in that week.
Yeah, it's very, very true.
So,
and I think there's a comment in the chat room too about how few games we play before we do the show. And I mean, we literally have 24 hours to play the Brawl before we do the show. So the show is still relevant for people over the weekend. But I find that like after we play them more and more and more and more, like once we have them come up a few times, then I do start to enjoy them a little bit more. I find there's been very few brawls that I've just loved right off the bat. And I tend to like them the more that I play them, but because there's no incentive to play them more often in the same week, I tend not to. I tend to spend my Hearthstone time doing other things. So I think maybe we need more rewards for Tavern Brawl and more incentive to play more. I'm coming around on that idea.
Bring it on, man. Yeah. No, I dug it. I dug it. And I'm coming around specifically on pre-made deck ones because I do like it's just, well, whatever. Let's just get in and play. It is what it is. Let's just play some Hearthstone that I don't need to construct some kind of weird game plan before I get in there.
Yeah. I definitely fall on the give me a deck. I like those brawls better than I have to create my own deck. I know a lot of people prefer the deck building ones, and I think if I were going to play it more and more and more, I would prefer the deck building ones because then I can change my strategy around. But on weeks when I don't really want to play a lot, when I just want to get in there and go, then yeah, obviously pre-made ones are the best.
Yeah, it's a good time. Well, that'll about wrap up this episode of the Angry Chicken Brawl. Thanks again, Drexbus, for your emails. Send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Put Brawl in the subject somewhere if it's for the Brawl episode. Thanks again to our patrons because they are the reason we are doing these episodes. Let's thank Dustin R., Jason P., Nick, Alex, and Andrew S. For supporting on this episode. Also, thanks to those of you who are dropping reviews in the Angry Chicken Brawl iTunes feed. Thanks to Cheesy Bob, Bob the Skull, Christopher M., Baron21, and Abe NCT. Thank you guys. We really do appreciate it. As always, we're on amove.tv, youtube.com/amovetv for the VODs. Thanks to our Patreon producer, Declan H. Get our coffee mugs and whatnot over at bit.ly/amovestore. Follow us on Twitter at TACPodcast. And we'll be back Monday night with our Prime show at 5 p.m. Eastern Time over at twitch.tv/amovetv and on alphageekradio.com. Joss, where can folks find you?
Best place to find me is at Joss Plays on both Twitter and Twitch. I'm streaming all the time now, all kinds of fun stuff. We did Rocket League last night, and I did some ladder, which was fun. And then, yeah, you can find me doing the Gamers In. We had our episode 200 last night, and that is every Wednesday on twitch.tv/amovetv.
That's a huge milestone. Congrats again.
It was a really good episode. We reminisced a bit about the last 100 episodes. We had a whole bunch of tweets that were like, happy 100th episode. Here's to 100 more. And I was like, that'll never happen. And I'm like, wow, we're actually at 200 now. Like, that's a little bit crazy.
It could happen. It could absolutely happen because it's already happened.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm really proud of what we've put together on Gamers In. It's a lot of fun now. It's really laid back and just kind of a couple friends chatting about games. So if you like video games, then check it out.
Is there anyone who listens to this show that doesn't like video games?
I know, right?
I mean, the cross section on the Venn diagram should just be a single circle.
And now we actually have all consoles in both houses. So
nice.
We're talking about everything from Nintendo Wii U stuff through Xbox and PlayStation and PC games and just everything. So if you play anything on any platform, come give us a listen.
Nice. Very nice. I do not have a Wii U with zero plans to get it because there's zero release dates for Zelda.
I know, right?
So
you can pre-order Zelda right now, though, if you want to just throw away your dollars years before you get something.
I really like giving Nintendo a free loan.
Right? I got a little bit ragey.
I thoroughly enjoy that. I really do. Or there's probably actually more likely the store that I gave the pre-order to. So giving GameStop a free loan or Best Buy or whatever. So no hatred to Best Buy, by the way. I'm always fearful that Best Buy will cease to be. I like Best Buy. It's really convenient to have a store with stuff I actually want to buy near me. So
I was going to say, you think Best Buy is ever going to cease to be? I went in there a couple days after Boxing Day, and they literally had no stock left of anything.
This is literally the worst time of year to judge how the quality of a high-end electronics store, how well they're doing. Go like in the middle of the summer and see how literally everything is still in stock. So, anyways, follow me on Twitter at Garrett Art. I can be found at nomoonart.com. That is my graphic design portfolio. Check it out. You can commission me if you want me to make pretty things for you, or not pretty things. It doesn't have to be pretty.
But the sparklier, the better.
I mean, if you're my client, I'm assuming that's the natural course of the discussion.
Yes.
Can we have more? Can we have more glitter? More glitter?
Do you know how to draw glitter? Can you actually make it shine?
Do you have a glitter brush in Photoshop? Well, I mean, I can like get a spackle brush and then I can hit it with like a glue. Do that. Just do that. And some unicorn horns.
Just randomly like pointing places.
If Jocelyn had her way, everything in the world would look like Napoleon Dynamite's Trapper Keeper.
Say that like it's a potentially bad thing.
No, not at all. Not at all. Somebody airbrushed that on the side of a panel van. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. Check out squarespace.com once again. Use the code TAC, get 10% off your first order. Job's done.
Job's done.